And we want to bring in someone who's been tracking this case extensively, private investigator Steve Ridge. Steve, thanks for making the time tonight.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
And this week, you gave NewsNation exclusive never before heard details on this case, one of the biggest revelations revolving around one of the leading suspects, John Van Cise. Can you share that with our audience?
Yeah, I can tell you that I've learned conclusively that John is now essentially, permanently incapacitated. So any more focus on him at this juncture probably could not in any way lead to an indictment or an arrest or for sure a prosecution because he just would be unable to aid in his own defense.
Do you remain the only person to ever interview him about this case?
Yes, that's true. I would have thought that someone would have gotten to him and convinced him in the 24 years prior to my showing up on his doorstep several times 5 years ago. But no one had, and no one has since. So at this juncture, the 11 hours of my interview, which I have pretty detailed notes, and it does include some recordings, because I did visit him on multiple locations, multiple times, and I do also have some video recordings with him that I have preserved, and for the time being, they'll all remain private and confidential. We'll see if eventually I can share those.
You talk about the discovery of a secret boyfriend. What role do you believe the secret boyfriend you discovered played in this case?
Well, I think it's pretty significant. I actually think it was probably the catalyst, if you will, for the timing of the abduction. Put simply, Jodi met this gentleman on Saturday evening, 2 Saturdays before her disappearance, and she had almost daily contact with him. She definitely went out on dates. She did go drinking with him at his residence. She parked her car in his garage. She played golf with him. She went out to dinner. So it was a fast and furious, I guess, final fling. She would not have known that at the time, but that 10-day period, they had tremendous amount of contact. And this knowledge was kept from even her closest friends. But I do know that the information did leak out to at least one person. And so that, I believe, was ultimately the motive for a confrontation that would have occurred in the parking lot at her key apartments eventually.
And you say you have narrowed the list of suspects down to 4 people. How did you do that?
Well, it's been a painstaking process over the course of 5 years. I started with a very broad net. I actually just since my interview on NewsNation the other day, I went back and looked, and there were actually 29 people that I felt like might have had motive or means or opportunity that I felt needed to be explored, and I was able to eliminate all but 4 of those. I still do have 4 people very much on my radar, but I also have them in rank order. And while I am not disclosing, who they are, any of them, or the rank order, I'm 100% certain that I do have the killer, Jodi's killer, or at least abductor, on my list.
And what is your theory as to what led to Jodi Huisentruit's abduction?
I think it was jealousy. I think plain and simply, things came to a head given the fact that she had developed this new relationship, which seemed to be a really nice budding relationship. I went and met with this gentleman. He's from out of state, but I talked him into meeting, and we sat down and talked things over, and he said that he just really fell for Jodi, and he was, hopeful that it was going to go somewhere, and that they stayed in close touch. She took the weekend to go on that skiing trip, and then she had obligations at work and had the golf tournament to play in. But he hoped to pick up on the other side of all of that, and really felt as though it was going somewhere.
Why is finding Jodi's remains still so critical?
Well, essentially, we have a circumstantial case at best. And if we had the remains, I can almost guarantee that eventually we would establish links to one of the four people who I have on my list by virtue of the location, the means by which the body or the remains were disposed of. I'm certain that authorities would be able to make a prosecutorial case if they could find the remains.
Have you shared all the information you have and your suspicions with police? And do you believe that authorities are doing enough?
Well, I hate to second guess authorities. I think they're in a very tough position. This is not their only case either. They constantly, have other things developing. I wish that they had a more public profile and maybe were more forthcoming, because I think the community has a lot of questions. And I think going clear back to the original police chief, this is 5, 6 police chiefs ago, Chief Sliper, it was his wife that leaked, Jodi's 80-some page diary to the local newspaper. That does not inspire confidence in the community. And it really raises questions about what was going on in the police department back then. So I think the more transparent the police department could be, the better it would be for the community and for the case in general.
Yeah, Steve Ridge, I know you've dedicated yourself to this case for years. I really appreciate you taking the time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
And if you have any information on the disappearance of Jodi Huisentruit, you are asked to contact the Mason City Police at 641-421-3636. And if you want to explore this case further, you can check out our Missing Digital show, where Steve spoke with NewsNation's Marnie Hughes specifically about this case. You can watch that on our NewsNation social media channels. If you have a missing case you think we should cover, let us know. You can scan the QR code on your screen. Many of the cases come directly from you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.